Hello everybody, today we're doing a video for GTA Car Kits in a 2016 Land Rover Discovery Sport. And today we're going to show you how to install our Apple CarPlay and Android Auto kit. As you can see, it's already installed into this car. It's paired to iPhone wirelessly. You can also pair it to your Android phone wirelessly. You can control it with the original touchscreen controls. You can do next track from the steering wheel controls. You will not lose any functionality of the original system. You can just switch back to it by using the home button. The kit also integrates with the original microphone, so you don't need to wire any extras. And your rear view camera will still work the same way. And now we're going to show you how to install it into this particular car. So the tools that you're going to need is a panel removal tool. This is our hook tool, T20 Torx, and this is a T27 Torx, and of course you're going to need our product. So we're going to begin right here. That's our first step. We're going to use our T27 and our panel removal tool. We will go ahead and peel this weather stripping so we can remove this panel. Just going to get underneath here. We will unclip it and it comes off. And here there's two T27 Torx bolts that we have to remove. Next, again, we're going to use our panel removal tool, and at this point we'll need our T20 Torx. So we will get underneath this to pop off this cover. Now we can see these bolts that we need to remove. So there's two right here, one at the bottom and one right there. The two bolts in the middle for the hook you don't need to remove. Now we will do the exact same on the other side. We will pop off this cover. And then there will be four bolts, two right here, one down there, one right here. Now we need to pop off this center console. In order to do that, we'll open the armrest, and you can just grab it with your hands and start unclipping it. Then you're gonna lift it up, and on the back side here, there are two connections that we need to disconnect. One is just simply by pressing on this clip, and then that one right there, you first have to release the red blocker, and then you press on the clip to release it. With the center console removed, now there's two more bolts to remove. First we'll remove this one, and then you're gonna pull this panel back, and underneath there's another bolt. Make sure not to drop it. And now at this point you can pull back this plastic piece and just remove this piece. Now we're gonna do the same on the other side. First we're gonna remove this bolt. Now we can get to the bolt underneath. And with those two bolts removed, now you can peel this back and unclip this. The next bolt is right here. Now there's exact same bolt on the other side. Now you can grab this panel, and it just comes off because we removed the bolts on the side, and then we remove this bolt. Now we can do the other side. It's a smaller piece, but the same concept. On this side, there's one more bolt. Technically, you don't have to remove it all the way, because there's kind of a slot here, but not all cars have it, so we suggest to remove it so you don't break anything. Same thing on the other side. Here we lifted the steering wheel all the way up. If you have a shorter T20 Torx, it's better to use that. We can now grab the silver panels, and by moving this to the side, we can carefully remove them. Carefully, because usually the silver clips tend to fall out. We're going to use our hook tool to pull these out. You would just take your panel, which you just removed, and you just clip them back. So when you put them back, it's nice and snug. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to pull this to the side and carefully unclip this. They tend to fall on the floor also. We're going to pick them up and put them back. Now we can see four bolts, so there's two on each side. They hold this HVAC panel, and we're going to use our same T20 and remove all 4 of them. Now you can grab this HVAC panel. We're going to flip it over. There's 3 connections at the back. You just simply press on the clips to disconnect. There's a clip at the bottom here. This is our head unit. It's held by 2 more bolts, which we need to remove. So now we're going to show you what comes in the kit and everything that we're going to be connecting. So first you have your main module, the video cables. You also have your main harness. We have a USB cable, and we have our wireless antenna. We're now going to pull out the head unit, and the 2 connections that we're going to disconnect. First is the main quad lock harness. Here's a clip right here. You have to press on it. That will release the lock, and you will unlock the lock and then disconnect it. And then this is the video cable. Press the clip, disconnect. So we're gonna start making the connection. So this is the video cable that comes with our kit. So there's 2 ends, the 2 blue ends and this burgundy and green. So the 2 blue ends will be at the back of the head unit. So we'll take the original and plug into the female of ours, and then this one will plug in instead of the original. We're gonna take the main harness of our kit. So this goes to the module, but this stays at the back of the head unit. So we'll plug in the original into our harness. So you have to insert it almost all the way in, and then you lock it in place. Lock is open, so we'll do the same for putting it into the head unit. Almost all the way in, and then you lock it in place. So now you have these 3 cables. So this is the harness cable that will plug into the module, and the 2 video cables that will also go to the module. Our goal now is to feed them behind and bring them all the way down right there, because that's where we're going to connect them to the module, and this is where the module will stay. So before putting the head unit, we need to feed them through. So we'll first start with the video cable. Here we go. As you see, is the harness for the module. Same thing, we're gonna drop it behind, and our goal is to catch it underneath. And now we're gonna focus on putting the stereo back. So because you added this extra harness, there's less space behind it. We suggested to either put the harness towards the right or towards the left, and then we will put the harness towards the right side. As you can see, the radio can go back all the way in, where you can reinstall the bolts. But first we're going to make all the connections before securing this in. So this is the module, and we're going to start connecting to the module. First we'll connect the harness cable, and then the video cable. So they just have to go to the matching slots, so green with the green. And then the burgundy goes into the burgundy. Make sure that goes all the way in. So this is the USB. It's used to connect to the system by wire or for charging, or also to do updates. You would plug in a USB stick here. So there's few ways to do it in this car. First, there's this way to run it right here into this compartment. Another option, which we did already, is we made the small hole. We're gonna install the wire into this compartment. So this hidden compartment that this car has. So as you can see, we can just feed this wire through, and it's just gonna stay there. Now you can connect it to the module. Another option is to run the cable to the glove box, but again, the glove box is solid and you would need to drill some holes in there. Next is the wireless antenna. You simply just plug it in, and you can keep it somewhere around the module. Don't stick it to the module, somewhere around. It doesn't have to be visible, and it can stay somewhere down there by the module. So at the back of the module there are 8 dip switches. So there's different variations of this particular car. So you would first start with all of them off. You would test to make sure that the screen works, that the rear view camera works, and touchscreen works. And if it doesn't, then we have different variations for different software. For example, this car, we're starting with number 7 on. We will put the module here, and in order to test everything before you bolt everything down, you also have to reconnect the HVAC panel. So you're gonna make these 3 connections. So as you can see, the stereo is still not secure. This is just for testing. And we will also reinstall the gear selector with the e-brake. So here we're just connecting these two original connections just so we can test everything. So we turned on the ignition. As you can see, the screen turned on, so that's a good sign. We're also going to set the system to auxiliary, because if to listen to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, the system has to be in auxiliary in order to hear all the sounds. So that's good. And then we're going to press and hold the home button in order to get an extra mode which you didn't have before. As you can see, it's right here. Now we will take our iPhone and just plug it in by the wire, just for testing before we pair it wirelessly. As you can hear, the music is playing, so you will test the touch screen. The touch screen is working. We're going to select it to reverse. As you can see, the original camera is working like originally it's supposed to be. And once I put the park or drive, it will display the CarPlay image. And at this point, we can start the final assembly. So first thing, we're going to secure our head unit in place. And just held on 2 bolts. Make sure that it lines up with these plastic pins. Again, we'll plug in the plugs at the back of this panel. And here you just gotta make sure that this cable, you push it all the way there. That way it goes in nicely and flush with the vents. Next, we're gonna put back these silver trim pieces. When you're putting them back, you're gonna slide and move this plastic to the side. Next are these 2 bolts on the side. Now you can put this dashboard pieces back. And now we're going to reinstall the 2 bolts. So there's one right here and one over there. When you're putting them back, make sure that you insert them to the side, because they're not straight on, they're kind of on an angle. And then you screw them back in. So now we can put back this plastic piece, clip it in. So there are 2 clips. So you first clip it in. And then we're gonna start putting the bolts back. So there's 1 bolt at the bottom of the silver trim. And now we will reinstall this one. And now there are 4 more, 1 right here, these 2, and 1 down there. With all the bolts reinstalled, now we can reinstall this panel, and it just clips on. We'll repeat the same on this side. So again, there's 1 bolt below this silver trim. We first put it in with our hand, and then we're screwing it in so we don't drop it. Next is this piece. And now you can clip back on this panel. Here also there were 2 bolts. As remember, they were T27. That's the only 2 bolts that are different from all the other ones. And now we can grab this panel, and again we're gonna peel back the weather stripping so we can put it back. Then once you line up the clips, once it's clipped back on, just put back the weather stripping. Here are the 2 connections. Again, you just clip this one back in, and then we're gonna lock it in place. And this one you just simply plug in. And here first, there are 2 hooks right here. You first have to insert it there. Once it's in, you push on it in order to secure it. So everything has been assembled. We paired our iPhone wirelessly. You can also pair your Android phone wirelessly. So at this point, the installation is complete. Again, this was a video for GTA Car Kits. I hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time.